How do you make Shabbat different from all the other days of the week? What activities or behaviors or habits do you abstain from as part of your Shabbat experience, and why do you abstain from them?
On Friday evenings, probably twice a month, I go to services, and we have kind of a unique service. Every Friday is a different type of service, and the one I enjoy the most is the one that we, as a group, go out to dinner, enjoy dinner together as a group, people from the synagogue. Saturday morning, I go to services every Saturday, and get home about 1:30, and I really don't do a lot for the rest of the Saturday. I just take it easy, which is not true during the rest of the week.
Okay. How has your Shabbat observance changed over the years? Is it for the better or for the worse?
It's changed for the better, I think. And for the past 15 years, I've gotten into the habit of going to services every Saturday. Prior to that, I rarely went to services on Saturday.
My grandpa's observance of Shabbat has to do with the text Exodus 28 because it states, "Remember the Sabbath day and make it holy." And my grandpa does this by going to services every Saturday morning. He remembers the Sabbath day by reciting the prayers, and he makes the day holy because he doesn't go to services every morning, just on Shabbat. My grandpa's Shabbat observance also relates to the text Halacha Shabbat 21:1 because it says some activities being forbidden because of their resemblance to prohibited kinds of work. This is saying that we should rest by refraining from work, and my grandpa does this when he says he doesn't do much on Saturdays, for he usually rests. I'm here with Adam, asking him a few questions about his Shabbat observance. So, Adam, what is challenging for you about Shabbat, if anything?
Something for me that's challenging is not being able to go out and hang out with friends. Because, Shabbat to me means, beginning of the weekend. And when I have to stay home and not go out with friends, it's a little challenging for me.
All right. How has your Shabbat observance changed over the years, and is that for the better or for the worse?
Over the years, I think our efficiency of Shabbat, how often we do it, has changed. Now that one of my brothers has gone off to college, one of my brothers is a senior in high school, is driving off, leaving early to go out with friends, our consistency of Shabbat is going down, meaning we have Shabbat less often, which to me is a better thing.
All right. What in your Shabbat observance would you do differently if you could?
I would have Shabbat less often and make every Shabbat more meaningful.
All right. And what is traditional about your observance, and what is untraditional about it? So what is more how the Jews back in old times practiced Shabbat, and what is more modern that you do?
Well, our Shabbat, when it's at home or at family friend's house, it's religious. We have prayers in it, and we have the Kiddush and the Hamotzi and everything. But a lot of times, for my family, Shabbat will just mean having dinner, on a Friday night. So sometimes we'll go out to a restaurant and eat there, or go to a restaurant and then go eat it, have dinner somewhere, and then go see a movie. To us, it just means simply having dinner as a family.
So you don't you don't abstain from electricity, or you drive on Shabbat and stuff?
I drive on Shabbat. I use electricity, and we do not keep kosher.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
Welcome.
Adam's way of practicing Shabbat has to do with the text Halacha Shabbat 29:1 because it states, "It is obligatory to remember the Sabbath by reciting the benediction for the sanctification of the day when it commences." Adam says that on Shabbat, he and his family eat dinner and recite the prayers at home. This is him remembering Shabbat by reciting the prayers and doing the blessings with his family. Adam stresses the fact that one big part of Shabbat for him and his family is the dinner, for they either eat together at home or out at a restaurant. In Halacha Shabbat 37, it explains that one should prepare for the Sabbath the richest victuals and the choicest beverages. We can assume that Adam and his family enjoy a nice meal on Shabbat since it is one big part of Shabbat for them. Adam's family's Shabbat dinner is one way that they make Shabbat different from other days of the week. So, Shawn, do you prepare for Shabbat? If so, how far in advance do you prepare? What do you do to prepare for Shabbat, and why do you do that?
I do prepare for Shabbat. I get home around 3 on Fridays, and I go shower, and then I dress in nice clothes, and I get ready for the Shabbat meal on Friday night with my parents.
Alright, that sounds fun. And what is challenging about Shabbat for you?
So, although I love observing Shabbat, a few things are very challenging. Like, I can't talk to my friends on my phone or on Facebook or on iChat, so I can't really plan to go out with friends. I have to plan before, and that's always hard. When people have parties and get-togethers during Shabbat, it's hard for me to get there, so I usually try to plan them close to my house, and just not being able to communicate with people through my phone.
Alright, and lastly, what is traditional about your Shabbat observance and what is untraditional about it?
So, my Shabbat observance is pretty traditional because I keep most of it. I mean, sometimes I turn on lights. I mean, it's inevitable, but apart from that, it's pretty traditional, and I guess it's nice how I do it because I get to rest for a day.
Sounds nice. So you consider yourself modern Orthodox or Reform or conservative or?
Yeah, I consider myself modern Orthodox. Yeah.
Elon's way of observing Shabbat is different from my grandpa and Adam's ways because Elon follows Shabbat way more strictly than they do, for he doesn't drive, use electricity, or do much on Shabbat. A big part of Elon's observance of Shabbat has to do with the text Halacha Shabbat 34 because it states it is forbidden to set a banquet or a non-Shabbat oriented drinking party for Friday night. Elon says that one challenge that Shabbat brings him is that he cannot go to parties or get-togethers on Shabbat, let alone throw them. He also says that he has to plan things before Shabbat since he cannot use electricity to use his phone or computer. Preparing for Shabbat doesn't only mean cooking and cleaning, but it means putting on fresh clothes to begin Shabbat. Part of Elon's preparation for Shabbat relates to the text Hilchot Shabbat 33 because it says honoring the Sabbath involves also putting on clean clothes so as not to wear the same clothes on both weekdays and Sabbaths. Elon mentions that before Shabbat, he showers and puts on clean clothes in order to cleanse himself for Shabbat and the dinner he eats with his parents.